But welcome, welcome, welcome. If you buy a home for $1 million, you would expect that that house would have a somewhat decent kitchen. Would you not? I know I would. And maybe it's because my expectations are low or because I'm from the east coast of Canada and $1 million homes don't come around very often, at least not in my neighborhood. So when I see the price tag of 1 million and I look at the kitchen that is in these $1 million homes, I get a little bit flabbergasted because I'm thinking these should be nicer kitchens in my opinion. So we're going to look at a few of these. I want to thank Paula for sending me this first one that we're going to look at. It is in the state of Maryland, and of course, I'm a Canadian, so I call it Maryland. This is the Maryland kitchen, and we're going to look at 4 other states with kitchens as well in $1 million homes that are listed right now on Zillow. I know that a state or a province or a place is big, and there's different types of neighborhoods, and in those neighborhoods, there's different levels, I guess, of community or income or whatever. So yes, I realize that. I just picked at random a $1 million listing. I don't know where the neighborhoods are. This is just in Maryland. I don't know. So that's how we're doing this tonight. But this is the kitchen. Have a glance at it. This house was listed for over $1 million, not much over that. But when you look at this at first glance, you say, oh, very interesting. Matching appliances, very matchy. It's white. Mark's going to really love this because it's white. Of course, there has to be an over the range microwave and all that other stuff. But I want to pick out some specific things that I want to show you so that when you are designing your kitchen or installing it or getting ready to do a kitchen renovation, these are some of the things that you should be looking for to make sure that they don't happen. To me, these are mistakes in this kitchen or things to watch out for. Again, nothing wrong with these designers or people or anything like that. This is just for entertainment and educational purposes. All right. The first thing is this: when you're installing wall cabinets to the wall or base cabinets to the wall, you should make sure that you don't leave these atrocious looking gaps where the cabinet attaches to the wall. The reason there's a gap there is because the wall is probably not perfectly level. There's probably some inconsistencies in the wall. You can't get away from that. So what do? There's 2 things that normally you do. You use a scribe molding like they're using here. The problem is they didn't use the scribe molding properly. You still see the gaps. Okay, well, maybe then the second thing you do is you use some silicone. You use some white silicone, in this case, especially white, to hide the gap that's there so that when you're looking into this $1 million home kitchen, you don't see these atrocious gaps against the wall. You'll notice on the base cabinet, this is done properly. You don't see any of those gaps. It's nice and tight. It looks like it's all nice and snug in there and pretty. You'll see on the other side of this kitchen, the exact same thing has happened. They have this gap in there, and this is just poor installation in my opinion. This is something that can easily be resolved. And maybe you didn't notice this. Maybe it's because I see this all the time and these are the things I pick up on. But it's the little things in an installation like this that really make a world of difference between a quality installation that's really good and something that's kind of mediocre. All right. The next thing you'll notice is that these are stacked cabinets, which is fine. They're stacked cabinets. That's a nice look. You got the higher ceiling, maybe. You want to just go to the ceiling with the cabinets. But when you're doing that on an end of a cabinet run like this, where there's 2 wall cabinets, there should be some sort of panel applied. Okay, this is fine in a $250,000 home. But in a $1 million home, you need to put a panel on this so it looks like it belongs in that house. So put a panel on there. It can be matching door panels. It can be one solid panel to hide that very obtrusive gap that is very visual and should not be seen. Okay? I'm like going totally off on these kitchens. Again, no shame on any of these people. You'll notice here exactly that also rather is that these don't match. One side has stacked cabinets to the ceiling, and the other side has just a wall cabinet that is not stacked. I couldn't figure out why they did this. The ceiling is the same height. There doesn't seem to be any reason why on one side you do one thing and on the other side you do the other. Now, is there anything wrong with this? No, there's nothing wrong with this per se. It just doesn't look like they make sense together. Why wouldn't you just also do this on the other side? Okay, maybe it's a budget question. Maybe, but anyway, I don't think it should have been done like this. What do you think? Am I totally wrong? Or do you think, yeah, this still looks a little bit odd when you're looking into this space and you look and see that one side is raised like this and stacked and the other side isn't? looks a little incomplete or odd. Now, of course, on the other side, they just left the shadow line to the ceiling. I think that's okay. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't know. It's okay. But on the other side, they should have done something to remedy that. So this kitchen starting off is again just I wasn't super pleased with any of this stuff when I looked at it. All right. Now, when you're installing a kitchen, you should really pay attention to your fridge depth. Now, this could easily have been problem solved by just pulling those cabinets. If they're custom cabinets, having them made deeper. If they are not custom cabinets, maybe you have stock cabinets. There's methods where you just pull those off the wall, and then panel the sides or do trim on the side to the wall so you don't see any gap there to hide this part of the fridge rather that is sticking out and is very it's not very nice to look at. When you're looking in this kitchen, you see this in $1 million home, this is not what you want. So bring those things forward. If you don't have a what do they call it? Counter depth fridge, sorry. If you don't have one of those, then make sure that you just take the time to pull that forward, panel in the sides, do trim on the back so that you can hide the gap that's there to make this look like it's built in. It does two things. One, it hides this fridge box that you don't really want to see. You'd like that to be nice and snug, and just the door reveal would be beautiful. And then the other thing it does is when the countertop returns into that side of the pantry or a fridge panel, it doesn't overhang the panel, so you have this little stick out of the countertop. It makes a really nice high-end finish. To me, it looks like this was a bit of a rush job. And hey, if you're trying to sell this home, you're just trying to update this kitchen quickly, hey, fine, by all means, go for it. But you're wasting your money here. You can make this look really high-end and finished by doing some of these simple tricks that don't cost hardly anything. Silicone doesn't cost hardly anything. Putting the scribe molding in correctly, that's nothing. And pulling the cabinets forward with a little bit of extra molding, really, it's not going to break the bank. So I will say that that is something you should look to do when you're installing your refrigerators. Make sure you understand the depth of the box of the fridge and then figure out how you're going to panel it so you don't see the sides of your fridge like this. Now, I understand not everyone's going to get a counter depth fridge, and maybe you don't want a counter depth fridge, but this is not the look that we're going for. I don't even like doing this in any kitchen. And whenever you can pull that forward, try to do that. It makes for a really great finished look in your kitchen. When I looked at these lights, I was a little bit confused on their placement. They're just kind of stuck in the middle, and maybe they just wanted to put some new can lights in so that you have, just general light in the kitchen, and that's fine. This is sort of a galley style kitchen, and it is sort of narrow, so I understand doing that. But I do bring this up because I think it's important to understand lighting in the kitchen and where they should and shouldn't be placed. And they shouldn't be placed in a location that is going to create shadows when you're standing by your countertops. Now, these lights are going to create shadows because they're going to be behind you no matter where you're standing at the range, at the fridge, at the sink, at the dishwasher, at any of those countertops. There's light behind you shining down on your countertops. Now, if you have under cabinet lighting, that is great. So you can at least illuminate the task surface that you're trying to work at. However, there's still a shadow created. So make sure you place the lights in places that make sense and don't create a shadow for yourself in your kitchen. For some reason in this kitchen, they took one molding and just scribed it into a different type of molding. So you just have this crown molding in the kitchen and they don't match. And when I seen this, I'm like, come on, people, this is not like, did they just that other molding, they doesn't have any more of that? Was it out of stock? So you just grab something else? Like, why in the world did you just run two different moldings into each other? These are simple things that when you are trying to do an upscale renovation in $1 million home, you should pay attention to stuff like this. Maybe no one else is going to notice that, I guess, but it's something that I pick up on because how can you not notice it's two different moldings and they're just butt together? I don't even think they're scribed together or coped. I think they're just butt together, which is even worse. So try to make sure that you have at least the same molding if you're going with crown molding. I know this isn't specifically to the kitchen, I mean, it's just crown molding on any ceiling, but because it's there and it's in the kitchen, it's totally odd. So there's no real point for that because on the other side, if you go back here, there's no molding, there's no crown molding on the other side of that room. So where the stacked cabinets are, hey, No molding there. On this side, we have crown molding. The lower cabinets, it's a different crown molding. It's like, what are they doing in Maryland? What's happening in Maryland that this has to be so? So yeah, just pay attention to those little details. They make or break a kitchen, in my opinion. All right, here's looking in from the space, and overall, like the layout's fine, and there's totally nothing wrong with it. It's a nice little space. It can be a really nice little kitchen, and again, not being negative on any particular designer or person who owns this place. Just picking out some stuff for fun to hopefully help you, so that you don't make some of these little what I think are mistakes. Maybe they're not mistakes, and you love them. That's totally fine too. And in this, here's looking out. I love that other wall, the accent wall, I guess is the thing to call it. Beautiful paint color and really nice. I like the tile, I like the countertop, I like the color. I think it's too matchy with all the handles and the hardware from the range and the stove and everything being too all matchy. That's a look, and if you like that, by all means, wonderful. So whenever I see cabinets like this, I always want to ask myself, ask you, ask the person who is in this home, what are you using that cabinet for? It's full height doors. So what are you using a full height cabinet door for like that in your base? Are there pullouts inside? Is there something specific in there that you need to have full height door for? If not, then really you should have something that's much more accessible. If there's pullouts, fine. However, if there are places in your kitchen where you could benefit from just having drawers, then go with drawers and not do this. Again, nothing wrong with having a full height door, even with a shelf. Nothing wrong with it. Fine. You have a shelf, you get in there, you get your stuff, it's all good. But when you're trying to prioritize function, you should prioritize it in a way that makes sense. And having drawers just makes a whole lot of sense. So anytime you're looking at kitchens like this, and if you go online and you go on Zillow or realtor.com or whatever website you look at real estate from, look through the kitchens. It's kind of a fun exercise if you're completely bored. I don't know why else you do this, but I do it because I like looking at kitchens. So when you get on there, just start looking at some of these kitchens. You'll be amazed at, wow, these are, these are, and a lot of these are renovated spaces. This is obviously a renovated space and maybe renovated to sell. I don't know, but it makes me think, why didn't they put drawers there? Okay, what are they using that for? In my kitchen, what would I use that type of cabinet for? And if I can't come up with any answer to that, then that's my answer. Okay, then I should have something different than that. All right, in Maryland, of course, they've got an OTR there. It's all matching. That's fine. And I'm not even going to say anything about this OTR. I'm not going to go on about the OTR, how it's like the worst thing in the world. It's in the horrible position. You shouldn't have one in your kitchen. I'm not going to say any of those things about this, about the OTR. I'm not going to over the range microwave, in case you don't know what that is. I'm not going to say anything about it. Okay. So we're going to leave that one alone. And this is for Jackie. I'm doing this for Jackie. Not going to say anything about the OTR because last week in the comments, she got me. And, I just was flabbergasted that she rolled me like that. Anyways, let's keep going. Oh, let's just go back for a second. You notice on the right and the left of the range. So one side is a very specific cabinet that's narrow. So that's probably cutlery, spices, something like that. And these are great cases for having a cabinet like this. Narrow single door cabinets can be a real nuisance unless they're used specifically for something like this. So this is actually a good point. They have the drawer bank on the other side, but this kitchen doesn't have any wide drawer bank in it. And I find that a little bit concerning because wider drawer banks are just great for all around usage for a lot of different things. All right. Here's the other side. You got the open shelves. I'm not against that. They look fine. You can curate it. Fill your boots with the open shelves. Overall, the layout's cool, but you can see that not a lot of drawer banks, and I think that could be an issue. So just make sure you pay attention to the drawer banks. Maryland, you didn't wow me in this kitchen, but it's white, so that's good. I like a white kitchen. I like the herringbone floor. Is it chevron? I can't really tell from here. Looks like a herringbone. So all in all, very nice kitchen in Maryland, but just some problems with the installation overall really is the main thing. And just some of those fine details, I think, that are important to look at when you are installing a kitchen. Okay, let's look at the next one. I think we're going to the next one here. And we will jump into, we're still in Maryland. Okay, we're still in Maryland. This is the little bar section, which I think looks lovely. Your microwave, you got your little bar fridge there. Still no drawer banks. Kind of in that little pantry there, but not much. The glass doors, all good. I have nothing really too negative to say about that, unless you want me to tell you I think there's too many mullions in those glass doors without just being negative for the point of it. All right. I like the butcher block. All good. Nice little banquette. Really beautiful. Just pay attention to some of those fine details, and you'd go a lot more. You get a lot more to your kitchen in $1 million home. All right, let's go. I think the next state we're going to is Florida. 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 Okay, here we go. Let's just have a quick look. I want you to just look at this kitchen and tell me at first glance what you're thinking about when you look at this. Is there anything that pops out to you that you think, oh, that's a mistake? We'll look at other views of this in a minute so that we can see other angles. And I think this is, um, nice two-tone kitchen with some seating in there, all very lovely, with nice butter and eggs sign up top, which is just great. And here's the first thing that I look at when I'm glancing at this. This stuck out to me like a sore thumb, and I thought, oh, this is a this is a rookie move. Anyway, okay. Oh, all right. Look, you you know that the molding is going to take up space. You know that. So when you're designing this kitchen, keep the cabinets back from the end of the wall. Don't hug them right tight to the end. There's no reason to. Two things are happening. You have your panels that are going over, you have your countertop that's going to be going over, and you have that molding that's sticking way over. Tuck that back and it'll look really neat and really finished. This is just not acceptable. So, you know, that's just something to consider when you're doing a design like this is just pay attention to the distances that you're using, and it'll just be a much nicer finish. All right. So this has a raised lunch counter, and I'm really not a fan of raised lunch counters because they take away from your work surface. You have the opportunity in an island to create this really big and massive work surface that now you're dividing up. You're not going to be doing a whole lot of anything, especially on these ends where there's the glass door cabinets, which is all fine. And if you want to have that extra display, that's cool. But the countertop there is quite useless. Now they do have some stools on the intersection we'll look at a little better here in a second. But and that's fine. You can sit there, whatever, fill your boots. However, those two spaces where they're raised, that countertop is now it's completely nullified. You're not going to really use that for anything. Hey, yeah, you can stand there with your elbow on it while you're talking to someone else. Good. But you're paying a lot of money to put your elbow on it. So when you're doing an island, my preference, and this is my preference, it might not be yours, is just have it one level so you can take that surface and use it multi-purposefully so you can do more than one thing at it. And it's much more beneficial that way. Now, maybe you like the look, or because there's a sink, you want to hide the sink and all that stuff. Fine, I get it. That's cool. But just be mindful of the fact that you are losing that space um, for anything really functional. Terry Joe, I had to highlight the ceiling fan in this one just as a joke. So if you were on the last couple live streams or watched those in replay, I have a little beef with the ceiling fan, and I've got quite a bit of slack for it. Moving right along, the shape of this island is just old school, I guess. Again, people like this was early 2000s in terms of shape. You're like, well, it's mimicking the shape of the wall back there. No need to do that. You don't need to do that at all. Make the island to be the most functional. And hey, okay, is there anything intrinsically wrong with this? Not really. My only issue is that there's a raised lunch counter, which I generally don't find very useful. And when you open that dishwasher door and you're standing at the sink, you create this little triangular spot that you're standing in, and it's less comfortable, yet less usable. And what it does when you angle an island like this is it takes the space in the center. It creates this really big space of, you want clearance in your kitchen, but you don't need 8 feet of it. And so it just pushes everything really far out from your kitchen. So the island now is really far away from everything else, and it's a little less, convenient in terms of workflow. So not my favorite shape of an island. I just like a rectangular island. Let's keep it simple, nice big workspace, and bam, you don't need to worry about all these angles and corners where you're losing all kinds of space. Not like I care a whole lot about that, but I'm just going to use it to my advantage in this scenario. When you have a nice big island like that, which is very easily accessible, why not, create it to be that way instead of putting all these angles in it? Now, what's my beef here? It's just pointing to what? When you're doing something like this, and you have all these multi layers, multi height, multi depth, try to panel it in such a way where there's just not a million different panels. So you could have easily just paneled that instead of having, the door panel on the side of the cabinet, and then this panel that's covering what I'm thinking is a gyprock wall. I think it's a wall there, a pony wall. Just create one big panel and it'll look a little more clean. I'm getting really nitpicky with some of these, so bear with me. And you're like, Mark, this is, who cares? This is just the stuff I point out that I think this is the difference between, a kitchen that should be in $1 million home and a kitchen that doesn't belong in $1 million home. Or maybe it does. I don't know. I'm just picking these out because I just thought they were funny to look at. Okay. Let's go to this. Okay, beautiful. You got the fridge, nice panel on there. It's even paneled. The panel is paneled, which is upscale, very cool, not normally done, and so adds a little bit of, texture, I guess, depth to the kitchen. But this fridge placement, I think, should be to the right and that countertop to the left, for the reason is that when you're going into that door, it visually and physically opens up that space so you don't create yourself this really narrow corridor. So if you had to move that fridge over to the right, and it's listen, you're like, well, it's further out of the triangle. No, it's not. It's no further out of the triangle. It's not further out of anybody's way. It's just as easy to access there than it is, 2 feet to the right or to the left. So put it to the right, move that cabinet countertop to the other side so that when you're walking into that room in the back, it's visually open. It's just gonna feel less cramped in. Very easy to do, something that could have been done, just when you're designing this kitchen or even installing it. Let's just flip these around and make a change that could have been a little bit better that way. And of course, if you're going to panel one side of the fridge, at least panel the other side. This is not something you ever want to see in a kitchen. If you're going to put a full height fridge cabinet above or full depth fridge cabinet above your fridge, make sure, or even if you don't, make sure you panel your refrigerator, whether it's full depth, half depth, or whatever, so you don't create this space in the back that something can fall into. You're going to lose the mail. You're going to lose something in the back there. It looks much nicer when you don't see the side of the fridge. So this is really basic kitchen design 101. Panel the fridge, make it look like it's built in, even if it's not. And you'll get, I think when someone's looking at this in this home, coming in to look at this to purchase it, and they see this, it's like, what the world? What are they doing that for? Anyway, so try to make sure you panel your refrigerators. All right, what am I, against glass doors now? No, I'm not at all. Look at that beautiful microwave. I love it. Oh, I just got to stare at that all day. Here's my thought here is that I like the full glass doors. I think that's fine. You want to have glass doors in your kitchen. That's great. You can display stuff, keep it neat or not neat, whatever you want. Who cares? That's all good. And that's all fine. However, this just doesn't look balanced to me, where you have this one cabinet on one side that's a single door, then you have this two-door cabinet on the other side that are glass doors. I think this could have just been spaced differently so that the two cabinets on the right and left of that OTR at least match, and then you have your glass cabinets. So to me, nothing wrong with this. It's not designed wrong. I just would rather see it be a little more balanced on either side of that OTR of the range, so that it just, creates a little more usability too. So you have one cabinet that opens up, away from your face, and then you have this little door that's opening into your face. It's only a 12-inch door, but still, it'd be much better if you had those two matching. Not completely wrong. However, something to think about when you're doing your own kitchen, just to create that balance. All right. Okay. Cup pulls, library pulls. Let's talk about these for a second. If you are putting library pulls in your kitchen, don't. But if you are going to, put them only on the top drawers. Don't put them on the bottom drawers. Normally, I would say don't put double like they did here, but I see what they did there because I have the two singles on the left, and so I get that. That's okay. It's a little bit odd. I don't know what that bigger drawer is for. But anyway, that's besides the point. It's probably paper towel is what I'm guessing. You pull it out, I think there's paper towel in there, like on one of those rolls on the side. I'm guessing that's what it is. And these are customized, and that's fine. But when you're using cup pulls, only use them on the top, because when you put them on the bottom, now when you bend over, you have to like reach underneath them to pull them out like that. And I don't know about you, but I'm guessing I could probably I could probably bet money on this, is that I'm not the only person in the world that opens up drawers with my feet. So you can just stick your toes in there in a regular handle and pull your drawer open. This way you can like curl your toes up. It's not going to work with your toes. If you're going to install cabinet handles, make it functional for your feet as well. And it's just, I think, easier to grab onto. Again, nothing intrinsically wrong with them, but if you're going to do that, put them only on the top cabinets. Never put them on doors. They're not made for doors, but I have seen that in the past where people put them sideways on a door. They're library drawer pulls. That's what they're meant to mimic. So keep them on the top, and you'll be fine. Keep something more open on the bottom, or just something different that complements the style. But I don't generally recommend having library pulls in those kind of positions. And again, the lighting in this kitchen, while just placed to be, appealing looking into the space, they're just evenly placed. They're not placed specifically, which I think in a kitchen is really important. I've done videos in the past. We've talked about lights on the live stream before, and different, videos that I upload on Saturdays. And I would like to say that it is important to be mindful that the lights are going exactly where you need them, not just where they look visually pleasing when the lights are turned off and you're looking at the ceiling going, oh, they're all nice and lined up and very symmetrical. That's great. To me, the lights really need to be for function. And so when you're doing that, put them in the places that make the most sense. And you can look at this right away and say, okay, those lights, they're just kind of placed in these locations because they sort of look visually nice from another room, but they don't make sense within the kitchen. So be very, very, very careful with that when you're doing lighting in your own kitchen. Put the lights where you need them. And I think you'll be better served to having something that's more functional for you and less shadows, all that stuff, so that you can enjoy your kitchen more. All right. Now, I don't like rugs if you've watched live streams before, but I think this rug's cute. This little mat with the pig on it. So I like this little mat. So I'm just going to leave it at that. That's the only thing I like about this kitchen is the pig mat. All right. Let's go to Oregon. Oregon. I don't know how you say these words. I'm a Canadian. Oregon. Okay. This kitchen, have you ever seen a kitchen like that has 3 islands? I know I put this one in the thumbnail because I was like shocked when I seen this. Now this looks like it is belongs in $1 million home because of just the size of it. If you can fit 3 islands in your kitchen, you're doing something right. It's just you got kitchen to spare. You're like, what are we gonna do with all the space? Let's throw another island in there. We already have 2. What's another island? I'm all for multiple appliances, multiple everything. But I don't know, 3 islands? That seems to be a little bit of overkill. What is the problem with this kitchen? Anyways, hey, if you need 3 islands, you need 3 islands. Wow. So yeah, I'm pointing to an island. So 1 island is great. 2 islands is like, okay. 3 islands, laughable. All right, it's all good. I just had to put those in there. Now, we already talked about this in the previous kitchen, I think in Maryland, and we are talking about these very specific cabinets that have doors that most likely just have a shelf inside. And again, just as a reminder, always make sure you can access your cabinets without having to get down on your hands and knees and bend over. Is it too much to bend over? Hopefully not. Hopefully you can bend over till you're 105. But why not make it easier on yourself in your kitchen and just have pullouts or drawers there? Again, nice wide drawers are great in a kitchen, and the narrower the drawers are, the less deep they should be, the shallower they should be. So you'll notice on the drawers to the left of that, they're starting to get to the point where they're getting a little bit narrow for the depth. So just be watchful of that. If you have a narrow space, you want to put drawers, just do more than three. Maybe do four drawer or five drawer. Four drawer is pretty good. It's a nice equal division, looks good visually, and a little more functional overall because of its width and shallowness, depth, I guess. Now this one has the extra sink, which is great. You have a little bowl there. My issue with all of these islands and sinks and everything, I just think they're not in the right places. So this particular sink really should be on this other island that's right here, this one right here, because that is looking out to this little like service area. So if I go back here, you can kind of see in the back there they have the little bar fridge, the cooler, and so that's used for serving. There's a little table back there. Maybe there's you see some chairs, and so you're going to be serving people maybe some drinks, or you're going to be just there. That's where you're putting, food down that you're going to serve people. So I would rather have the sink in that location. To me, that would make more sense um, than putting it on this space. This is a beautiful big island. Love the countertop, by the way, in this kitchen, but you don't need to have that sink in that specific location. In this, we'll look at these two islands. The island that's further back with the raised lunch counter has the regular sink in it, and it's really far away from the rest of the working space of the kitchen. Take this sink or this island here that's in the front and just switch places with that, because that is the social island. That's where everyone can gather around. Put your overhang on that, put your seating on that, and take your other island with your sink and your dishwasher and pull it back into the kitchen space. So you have your working flow of the kitchen, and then you have your entertainment island, your social island, and then to your left you'll have your beverage and serving island. And it might make more sense now that we have three islands going in our kitchen. And again, the raised lunch counter. Now, I am a fan of the fact that they have a really good depth on this. So when you are sitting there, at least it'll be somewhat more comfortable than just having a really shallow depth. And so that's fine. Again, just not a fan of a raised lunch counter. Look how it blocks off that kitchen, even from this angle where they're taking this picture from. And you say, well, the dishes and all that stuff. You know what? I just don't buy that. I don't buy the dishes thing. I think you're just blocking off your kitchen unnecessarily. Lower that, have a nice big surface. Even if you're sitting there and you're going to eat a meal at that raised lunch counter, now you just have to work with, this cabinet, this narrow countertop section that your plate and your drink and everything has to go on. And it's much more freer when you just have all the room in the world that you don't have to worry about. This is your home. You're not sitting at, I know it's bar seating, but let's stop, okay? Let's stop with the bar seating and move on. Mark, you're just going off tonight. It's okay. All right. It's all in good fun. It's all in love. Um, okay. I'm a fan of a chimney style. Here's my problem with this. I think chimney style range hoods need room to breathe. Not not they don't need the room in the manual. They look a little nicer when you just create a little bit of space to the right and left and don't jam them really close so that they're touching. This is touching the cabinet unnecessarily. There's no reason for that to be doing that. Yes, other types of range hoods are going to touch because they're attached to a cabinet and the other cabinets are coming in and enclosing all of that. So that's a different case scenario. This in doesn't need to be like this, especially where you have these, whatever these are. Like what are these? What are we doing with these? Do they pull out? I guess maybe. I don't know if they do, but if they do, they're for spices. Okay, fine. But no, don't do this. This is just a lot of stuff happening, a lot of molding, a lot of ins and outs, and you're just trying to be fancy for no reason. You're not adding any value there, in my opinion. Create the space around the range hood. It'll make that look a whole lot better. Okay, sorry, Jackie. Uh, that one doesn't have an over the range microwave, which is good. What I do love about this kitchen is you just have this big walk-in pantry. There's pocket doors on there, so that's cool. Thank goodness there's no barn door on there. God forbid we have a barn door on anything these days. We would never want to see that. And we have this great space here. So this is excellent. Nothing against this, just simple storage. It's all you need in a space like this. I think this is great. You have shallow storage. Everything's easy to access. No reason to get ultra fancy in a place in a pantry like this. So I think this is done fine. And if you have room in your home for something like this, by all means, great. So this is an ultra big kitchen, lots of storage. Obviously lots of counter space. But just some quirky things that are fun to point out. All right, let's go to Philadelphia. Oh, this is my favorite kitchen visually looking at it. You're looking at this going, Mark, this is impeccable. This is an impeccable kitchen. It might look impeccable at first glance, but I got my little eyes on it and I started looking around and I found some stuff I didn't like. So I'm going to share it with you. This is my favorite kitchen so far. Yes, it's a white kitchen. It does go to the ceiling, which I think in this scenario with this height ceiling, I think it's very warranted. And it's a, very modern, trendy look, which is nice. So all fine and dandy. What is the problem with this kitchen? Well, first of all, if you have a pantry, don't install your handles that high. Just put them down where you can actually grab them instead of going like this. Okay, you have to do that up top anyway. But on a door that's already down low that you can access from waist level, put them down further. Well, they just, they're closer to the other handles. No, just don't. Don't put them there. Put them down lower. Every time I see this, it really irks me that they put handles up top like that. Just put them down in the middle. It'll be more functional for that cabinet overall. I'm really picking on this one, but there's not much I can say about this kitchen. So that's one of the things I'm going to say. Put the handles where they make sense, where you're going to use them. Okay. Again, nothing wrong with the range hood. I like the chimney style. I think it's still something that's very trendy looking and people like to do. However, again, just space it out a little bit so that you don't need to cram it in so much. You can create a little space around that like the last one. Okay, the back of this island has the cabinets for extra storage, which is great. My only beef about this is to not put the handles there. On these cabinets, just make them push to open. Put the little piston if you have to buy the aftermarket piston at Home Depot. Install that little piston. You can push it to open. They don't cost a lot of money. They cost at maybe the same price as a handle, if that. So 2 screws, they're installed, and then it looks like you just have a door paneled back. There's still access there. This it's not that this looks bad. It's that your knees are you're gonna nail those. You're gonna nail the bottom of those. You raise your knee up into the bottom of that. I can feel it right now sitting here. It's it's gonna be painful, and you don't have a lot of depth here with this overhang. So, you have this improper overhang, and you got these handles that are just going to destroy your knees. So, just be mindful of that. Just put push to open on the backs of those. It'll look very clean. The storage is still very accessible. You can still get into it, all good. You'll just save yourself a whole lot of problems, um, with injuries, which we're trying to avoid. All right, unless you just don't like people, and just hey, sit at the island, make yourself comfortable. Here, I'll give you some tea. Sit and chat for a while. All right. Okay, this has under cabinet lighting. Here's something I want to point out that probably never gets pointed out, or very rarely, is when you are doing white cabinets, especially, and you have white countertop and you have a whitish backsplash and a white gray. Finish the bottom of your cabinets, especially when you're putting the under cabinet lighting underneath, because what happens is you have this orangey glow underneath because you have either maple veneered particle board or maple or some kind of wood, plywood, that now this light is illuminating and getting a reflection of that color. So in your kitchen, it's probably better to have cool lights, something that's five 5200 kelvins and higher, something that's daylight cool, for work, prep areas. What this does is when you do put that in there, now you have this yellowy orangey glow also that is happening when you don't finish the bottom of the cabinets. Now, this is going to cost you money. maybe you can, paint these yourself later on with some ceiling paint to save a buck or two, but something to definitely consider. Also, when you're sitting down anywhere else in this open kitchen, you'll be able to see that very stark contrast between all the white and then this orangey glow. So just something to consider, not a make it or break it thing. It's but to me, once you see it, it's like, oh yeah, it's really kind of catches your eye in a way that doesn't complement the kitchen. So something to be considered about. And that doesn't just go for white kitchens; it can be for other colored kitchens as well. But definitely on a white or beige or lighter color kitchen, this would be something to think about. Okay, now this particular area, again, I'm just highlighting those doors. Whenever I see cabinets with doors, drawers and doors, always thinking, what are they doing? Why are they using this? Why are they not have drawers? Come on. And this has just a corner door, corner cabinet. Probably has a lazy Susan in there. And as much as I am all for you having whatever you want in your kitchen, still can't get around saying, think about all the other options you can have for this kitchen, for this corner, instead of just having a regular cabinet there like that. Okay, it's just, there's other ways to do it. I know you like your lazy Susans, I know, but stop liking them. Here's here's a kitchen, the same kitchen, but just looking out at the living space. Very beautiful, nice home and all. This is lovely, and most people would really appreciate this kitchen, of course, and I would too. Um, so I'm just being hard on it purposefully. And there's nothing really here to say other than you got your island with your sink in it, all good, fine and dandy, and all good. Looks like you have a cabinet there for garbage, and then some other cabinet with just a single door. However, do you not see what I'm seeing when I look at those handles? Like you have, the two on the top horizontal, the other one horizontal. Just put that fourth handle horizontal to match. The door still opens. It's still just as easy to swing the door on the hinge, but it just looks way better than just having this one handle. Like, you know, if you are at all OCD, this is going to drive you, you know, I wanna, like, reach through my screen and, like, turn it the other way, please. Alright, let's go to this next kitchen in Tennessee. I believe this is our last kitchen, yeah, so this is the last kitchen we're gonna look at, and then I'm gonna jump into the chat and pay attention to what you guys are saying in there, maybe answer some questions or say hi to everyone. But so this is a brand new build. As you can see, they don't have a refrigerator yet, and it looks like the floors aren't even finished by the looks of things, which is scary because you have an island installed, but maybe they are finished and that's the look they're going for. So this is a great space, beautiful, beautiful kitchen all in all. But here's some things you got to watch for. This is a new build, but there's these great big cracks in the ceiling and something over that door. So maybe the builder is going to come back and fix that, which I would hope they would. Why is there a crack in your drip rock? What's going on? This is not cool, man. All right, let's move on to the kitchen parts. Okay, very nice kitchen. They have these. This looks like maybe, is it quartzite? What is it? I don't know what it is, but it's beautiful. I like the color. But they have these little return backsplashes. Now they have tile on the backsplash on the wall, and they don't have the little, they don't have the backsplash there. So these little returns, and I would just say nothing wrong with that. It just stood out to me as something different. Why did they do this? Why are there these little returns there? Mark, you're being so picky, but not cool. No, Jackie, it's not a seam. It's not there would never be a seam in your ceiling anyway. So it's definitely a crack. No seams. All right. So these little returns, kind of unnecessary, a little bit older of a look. They're not on the backsplash, so kind of funny. Anyway, when you're doing cabinets with wide drawers with two pulls, I get the look, but I do say this often is that you'll never, I shouldn't say never, but you'll likely only pull these cabinets with one hand. Generally, when you're going to a cabinet, say to open it, and you have something in your hand, you're going to open it with one hand. And very rarely are you just bending down with both hands and opening up the drawer like it's some old dresser that you have to like, force open. I get the dresser look, but this isn't a dresser, and it's going to open super smoothly with those the cabinet hardware. You got Bloom, tandem undermount rails. Those things are going to slide so beautifully. What happens when you're pulling on one side all the time, because you're going to do it with one hand, is you're going to constantly be pulling it on one side, and over time you're just going to be wearing out one side of the rail more than the other, and it'll cause issues with just the way that they are. When it comes to like uh not balancing, what's the word I'm looking for? Totally lost me. But just modify not modifying them. Can I just have a brain minute for a second? When you're trying to adjust them, that's the word that lost me. When you're trying to adjust, this is live, and I can't edit anything, so I have to be lost for words and deal with it. You're gonna be pulling it when it comes to adjusting those later, it becomes an issue. You're always pulling on one handle. So if you like the look, that's cool, but just be aware of that little thing that could be a problem later on down the road. That might be uh, an issue for wear and tear. Okay, this island does not need legs. The overhang is not big enough anyway for anyone to sit at comfortably, and you certainly don't need legs. This is just another knee and leg intrusion place. Like you're just going to be hitting yourself on this. You're trying to turn. You get the seats in there. It's they're in the way. So if you have overhang that warrants having a leg, then put a leg. But if it doesn't, don't put a leg for the sake of putting a leg for the look. It's not necessary for the overhang, and certainly only going to be in the way. Blind corner cabinets. Mark, why are you going on about this? Because I am. Again, you have another cabinet with no drawers, just all doors everywhere here. There's no drawer banks. Come on. This is a brand new build. There should be all drawers in this space. Do they not? No. And then blind corners, I guess, just make sure you have some way of accessing the inside dark places of that cabinet so that you don't have to be digging in with one arm basically on your side like a plumber trying to get at the back of a sink cabinet. It looks to me like these are not the same size, which they don't have to be, but I'm just a stickler for symmetry on things that are the most visual, and wall cabinets definitely are the most visual. So when you are designing your kitchen and you want to prioritize that, just balance these a little more so that those two cabinets on either side looks like one's maybe a 30, one could be a 36. Balance those a little bit, and I think you'll be better off. I know there's another cabinet there that you're dealing with, but with a little bit of massaging, I think you can make that balance a little more. And there's nothing wrong with moving that even to the right a little bit to give yourself even more landing area on one side, because to the right you're going into the corner, and that counter space that's tucked in there is not your most usable counter space anyway. So moving the island or the range top a little bit, not a whole bunch, just 3-6 inches maybe to the right, could bring a little more balance to that wall cabinet section, and just create maybe a little more visually pleasing environment. Also, when you're building a new home, like this is basically a builder grade kitchen to some extent. um, when you're doing this, if the builder's building this for you, that's fine, and they know the fridge that you're purchasing. But if this is like a builder building this and then selling it, just like how they're building these neighborhoods, they build all these homes with these kitchens, and you come in and now you have to deal with that size fridge opening, and you can't ever get anything else bigger than that because that's what you have to deal with. That's not a problem. Just be aware of that when you're doing this sort of thing. Is fridges come in all kinds of different sizes, and you may want a particular size, but you're only going to be able to get this size, which could be fine, but you have less options when it comes to this. All right, so overall, awesome. And something that just sticks out to me, and I maybe because I'm looking for things. When I look at these kitchens, I'm looking for problems that I can bring to you, and I can joke about them and go on about stuff. So I'm looking for specific things when I look at these kitchens, and I just think there's a lot of plugs. There's a lot of outlets there. More outlets, the better, I guess. You can plug in everything known to man on this countertop, but it just seems like a lot, and they just sort of stand out to me, like, just they're just everywhere. So, again, like, that's super picky. I will point out something that I didn't point to, but hopefully you can see this. I'm gonna go back. I want you to look at the bottom of the double oven and then the dresser drawer, drawer banks there. And I want you to look at the toe kick area, what they did there. So they put in this, and I've talked about this briefly in other places before. They have this really interesting design on them. So this is a toe kick sweep, and basically it allows you to sweep out the toe kick with a broom without running into a 90-degree corner angle inside there. So they 45 this piece inside of that, and so it makes it really easy to to sweep with a broom. Now, in this particular area, it's not really necessary because there's no reason to have anything going to the floor there. So so you actually don't even really need them in this particular spot because you could just have clean toe kick right underneath all of that, and it wouldn't make any difference. It would make more sense, and I would actually prefer this anyway, if that whole cabinet that the double oven is in was deeper and pulled out. This is a 24-inch cabinet, so make it 26, and then the 25 and a half countertop will butt right into the side of that. Really beautiful look. And then it makes a whole lot of sense to put this extra little piece in the toe kick so that when you are sweeping it like this doesn't, you don't see this a lot. But when I do see it, I really appreciate that because someone thought about that. It's a really cool idea. Nothing wrong with it there. It's just usually there's no actually any reason for it. So, okay. So I like that about that kitchen. Again, lots of plugs. Awesome. I think that's the last one. So I hope you enjoyed some of those kitchens that we're looking at. Of course, again, as I'm making fun of these, I'm not really making fun. I'm just pointing out some stuff. Hopefully, share and you can say, "Oh yeah, I maybe want to avoid that," or maybe you've seen something in these kitchens that you're like, "Oh, I like that, and I want to put that in my kitchen." Again, that's all good too, and nothing wrong with these kitchens intrinsically. I just needed to point some things out to help you along the way if you're trying to renovate your kitchen in the future. Those are some things that you can think about, and I hope that you do. I'm going to jump into the chat, and if you've been watching this in the replay, I really appreciate you being along for the ride. This is a live stream, so I babble a little bit and I'm a little bit wordy, and it's just me talking. So sorry if you don't like that, but if you do like it, stick around for a little while longer because we're going to chat for a few minutes. And for everyone else, we will see you next Wednesday night or in the next replay or on Saturday's video, which is all about 8 elements that make a really great kitchen. So we'll see you then.